Yeah, whatever happened to the sponsors and shit? Like, how do other people get them?
Fuck, we should probably look into that one of these days.
Because, I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know who
It'd be
usually-
cool if we could just say something like, hey, you know, so-and-so is sponsoring this shit.
So
Yeah.
what do you think, like, are sponsors just looking for, you know, number of followers? Do you think they're looking at number of views, who's on the podcast, what we're talking about?
Probably views and likes.
Or people
Probably.
that just suck the fucking social media tit.
Yeah. Guess we got to find a way to trend, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta start sucking the teats.
Yeah. Milking time.
The meta teats.
Meta team.
On that note, let's get after it, guys.
All right. It's fridge brick time.
Welcome to another episode.
Today's topic is torture.
Yeah, torture would fucking suck.
I think that's the definition.
Yeah, like, well, you like good torture or bad torture?
Well, is there a good torture?
Well, good torture, what comes to mind for me is whips and chains. Like,
leather.
yeah.
The ultimate behind the scenes torture.
Yeah, like you know, like slutty outfit showing up, like the movies have it.
And being spanked and not because you're a bad boy. Well, because I guess you're a bad boy, but not a bad boy.
I guess.
Wait, I just made that sound good saying bad boy.
I guess good torture could be if you were the one turning the screws or doing whatever. You know, if you
Get what
find
you
some
need.
satisfaction in the torture, you know, experience,
Yeah.
you're handing it out. You know,
Isn't there a name for that? Like,
Oh, I know what
that
you're
fantasy?
talking about.
I thought, like, I'm not gonna be able to think of
What
it.
was it? The whatever Matrix? Or is that just what is that?
They
I'm gonna
call it-
butcher it. The word
they call it
Matrix
S&M or something
Yeah, I
like
don't
that.
know. Like I'm unfamiliar with.
yeah, I think that's more in the bedroom one. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we check your history on your phone, Troy.
I think I saw him just clearing that before this episode.
I left my phone in my car.
That's what- my phone's dead.
The battery's dead.
I wonder why it's dead. But that, you know, I view that as, I guess there is fantasy torture with sexual.
Yeah.
And I think, do you think that's more of guys think that way? Or do you think if people were to take like a blind survey that we would get more guys saying they want like that torture? Or do you think girls would surprisingly say that
I
they
say
would like
girls.
to be involved with that torture?
I say girls because they have like, I mean, I know it's not torture, but they have those books that they read, you know, the like love novels, and it's like everything's so
yeah.
descriptive
Oh,
and
yeah.
like structured.
Well,
It
isn't
just-
that kind of like the 50 Shades of Grey is kind of like that? That it's,
I think so,
she
yeah.
has like a sexual fantasy and he's part of it.
Yeah.
So all that you need to torture someone is a mask, a cucumber, and whatever you can. I don't
Some
even know what it
aluminum
was at
foil.
in the book. I've never seen the movie or read the book.
A soundproof room.
Yeah. But isn't there, I could be totally off my rocker with this, but I thought it was that women kind of have like this thing where they fantasize about being raped in a way. Not like, you know, take a walk in the park, have people hold you down and rape you, but like forceful.
Well, I think it's more of a being dominated, if you will.
Yeah.
Manhandled or whatever, I guess.
Because if you think about it, they're the ones, you know, technically being tortured. It's not
Yeah.
like the guy. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. They're, you know, probably guys probably want to be tied to the bed too and shit.
And just have their wiener kicked down.
then that's bad.
That's where torture goes wrong. You've seen videos like that of girls punching guys in the balls, like those, like.
Oh yeah, when you're in high school and you get onto the those websites.
But it's like, I don't ever want to be in a situation where someone's just scrambling my eggs down there.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like some sort of practice, like karate practice or whatever in like Japan or something like that, or Thailand, where the guys do that too. I've seen videos of there where they'll have like the master, I don't know, sensei or whatever, standing there.
Hit their nuts?
Oh yeah, they just stand
Oh, I
there.
thought
And
you meant
someone's
like
like,
they have classes like on the sex stuff and they
Yeah.
bring out like hot dogs
Well,
and they're just like
that's Thailand.
Yeah.
That's more Thailand, probably.
They gotta nicely hit the eggs without breaking them.
But can you imagine like the couples that want to like get into it for the first time? Like, yeah, I want to be tortured, and the guy's like, yeah, tie me up and just like hit me in the balls. Like, well, how hard? And then the wife's just like, poof. How many of those like
she forgets to take her shoe off.
Yeah, something like that. But how many of those like experiences do you think end up in the hospital because
Oh, that's another like statistic. There are like like a people like you hear stories of guys breaking their dicks
because they were tortured or because
torture or they're trying to like do it in a car or whatever.
Yeah,
and
compromising positions.
And they snap their wiener.
Yeah,
turn it into a pretzel.
Yeah.
That's horrible. That's a torture right there.
I feel like that's like new age torture.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be real old age torture right there.
Dude, just breaking your
breaking
dick
them forever.
I just broke my dick and got tortured.
You just imagine in the old days where they had to fix it, just probably put 2 sticks there with some twine. They don't take this off for 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah, leave that sit for a week.
The town to know who has a broken dick.
Fuck that. They probably just cut it off. They didn't bother like just they're like, oh, it's broke. It doesn't work.
Bam.
Turn your Audi to an innie. You weren't man enough to handle this. Sorry.
Medieval trans surgery.
Johnny, but we told you what was going to happen.
Like with torture, those like with the medieval times, I think that's what always comes to mind with me for torture. Like if someone says the word torture, I automatically think the guy with the hood on, and someone's tied down doing something.
I was going to say my brain always just, I don't know why it always goes to this scene. Like it's always like from black to just like zooming into the scene of this guy being tortured. Like, like it's always, and it's like every time someone says the word torture, that's always comes to my mind. It's like going to the scene of the movie, like right in the middle of the torture.
The same sound effect.
Yeah, and like if you say torture again, the scene starts over like every time.
The guy's like, really again?
Yeah, if you say that word, it's like hitting the
reset.
Loop. Yeah,
rewind. Yeah. I think when torture, like I said.
Exactly, that's how it goes.
The guy with the hood on,
he's like giving him a titty twister.
The executioner, whatever they called him back then. I think.
I feel like that's how it starts. So like, get him with the titty twisters, and then
it just escalates. The wheels come off.
The next step is like whatever sharp is.
Or do you think what are they called? Those people that do the torturing? Do they have a name? I don't know. It might be.
I'm gonna actually look that up.
Well, you look it up. Do you think they know in like certain towns, like, oh yeah, we got Frank here. He's known for ripping nipples off.
He's the best titty twister.
Yeah, this guy can break your dick. Like
he must be stopped.
Yeah, like the next town's over. Like don't do anything in that town. He'll kick you in the balls so hard that
become a statistic. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know what to Google for that.
They gotta be. Yeah, I don't even know what you're going to get. You're going to end up getting those videos of people tied to the bed.
Yeah, getting kicked in the nuts.
Or do you think, they get kicked in the nuts so hard they shit the bed?
Yeah, that's another question for like, how hard do you have to be to kicked in the nuts to shit the bed?
Yeah.
Speaking of being kicked in the nuts,
I don't think I'm going to find it.
Has anyone ever asked you to explain how it feels? Like girls are like, oh, that's not the worst pain or whatever. And
they talk about like giving birth, like compared.
Yeah,
like
but
pain.
I heard someone once describe getting kicked in the balls the best way. They said it feels like you're trying to fart out of your dick.
Yeah, you got a stuck fart.
You just can't. Yeah, you can't catch your breath. It's just like in unfathomable pressure.
Just imagine like back in the day, the first person getting tortured, they like started with kicking him in the nuts, and then he told, "Stop! I got to fart."
Oh no, they were probably just like probably had him tied up, and they're like, tell me this, and they like punched him in the arm. I'm not telling you shit. Then they like punch him in the kneecap or something. They're like, okay, I'm not doing that. Then they kick him in the balls, and they're like, okay, I'll tell you everything.
Spills the beans.
He laughed. He's like, giggle a little bit.
Yeah. Then the sharp objects come out,
dude. But yeah, fuck that. Like ancient times, there was no like proper justice or anything like that. If you were accused of anything, it's like, okay, to the torture chamber, and they're doing whatever.
But you see the old pictures of that, like in textbooks or whatever, Google searches, the devices they had.
Yeah.
Like, the wheels that you twist someone over, or they had like, it was those coffin body shaped looking boxes that had spikes in it, and it looks like they shut it, and all the spikes would stab you.
Wasn't that is that an Iron Maiden, or am I mistaken on that?
That's the name of the thing?
Yeah.
Isn't that like a cage or something they put you in?
Oh, maybe that's it.
No, I don't know. I thought
Other than the band, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's one where they put you, I think, at like in a cage and like your head's exposed or something like that, and then something with animals, or I don't know if the animals can come get at you or some shit like
Well,
that.
how many of these devices actually had animals involved with that?
Probably
Like,
usually rats, right?
Yeah, or the horses
crows,
with like the quartering when they'd what do they call it? Quarter? Isn't that what that's called?
Oh yeah, like Braveheart. They did that to Braveheart,
where they
right?
quarter you or whatever, and they put like. Well, it couldn't be a horse, but then that's when they used to just like want to rip you apart. But then in Braveheart, they hook you up to the machine and they like wind the wheel, and it slowly just like rips you apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think? Like,
Talk
imagine
about
watching that live.
How long it would take?
Do you think at some point they're like, okay, everyone in the crowd's like, okay, they're gonna let him go. He's gonna talk.
Psych.
We're not gonna fall for this again.
Or just imagine like they're just trying to get a little like trying to mess with the guy, and they spook the horses.
No, what they need to do is they need to do like 3 really strong horses, and then like a little pony is the 4th one.
Can you imagine being tortured? You're like, okay, I can do it. And you look over and you start laughing. You see the pony. Is this funny to you?
Do you think the stronger people actually lasted longer with the quartering? Or do you think it was always like the same, you're splitting when you're splitting?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the bigger ones were probably
Well, what is it?
the louder screamers.
What does that even look like though? Like, what does one part come off first?
Well, that's what I was thinking, that, does a leg come off easier than the arm? Or do you think that 3 come off and then, like, say your arm is left, that one horse just drags you around just by your arm?
Or whatever else.
Whatever's
didn't snap.
left.
Yeah, whatever didn't
Or
snap
how long
off.
do you think it is till you die?
I say your
if you
arms
get
go first.
Do you think so?
Well, yeah, because your leg, you would just think like your leg muscles and stuff.
But it's not really
are-
your muscles.
Well, like your tendons and everything keeping you together.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's...
If you think about like all those devices and all that shit, like talk about engineering marvels.
Oh, yeah. The dark places that they came from.
It's just they see some guy with this notebook. What are you drawing
What are you
there?
working on over there? Nothing.
No, what is that? And that's the birth of torture. But yeah, we can make him talk. We just need Steven over there to give us his drawings.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say that how the tortures evolved, from like back in the day. It's they try to make it, I think, a little more, I guess, humane now.
It's just weird to think of humane and torture in the same
correct.
sentence.
Yeah.
But it all depends where it's getting done.
Like to your body or like where in the world?
Both. All the above.
Like if you're doing stuff like you're punching me in the shoulder or something, like I'm not gonna tell you shit.
Yeah.
You start sticking hot irons up my dick, I'm gonna tell you whatever you want. All of a sudden I know what like 2,283 times like 50. Yeah, like all of a sudden I can tell you anything.
Ran out to the 14th decimal.
This guy's a genius.
I can recite pi. Like
But you hear stories of, I guess you could say horror stories of Vietnam and things like that being held captive. Mm-hmm. I could never imagine being in those situations.
fuck, I just got chills thinking about
yeah,
that.
like the one that I think you hear the most is the bamboo and the fingernails that they used to like take the little bamboo shoots and start pounding them up your fingernails. That's where they would start.
Yeah.
Oh, there's something about like that in movies. I can watch like people's arms and shit get ripped off,
Quartered by horses.
Yeah, all that stuff. But as soon as they start ripping a fingernail back, I'm out.
Yeah,
I know how it
anything,
feels when you bend one back. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
You look
you're
down and
game
you,
over.
yeah,
You're like, oh, it's gone.
I think what goes to your mind is like being tortured and seeing them.
and they get Vietnam flashbacks.
Anytime I have a hangnail, it's like, oh, Vietnam.
Fucking Nam.
It wasn't that in one of the Rambo movies too. It was like they were when he wasn't he captive? Yeah, he was like captive. Wasn't Rambo held captive by Vietnamese or something like that? Or weren't they like in one of those huts with like the rats and stuff like that?
I got a confession to make.
You've never seen it.
I've only seen like 10 minutes of Rambo.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I just always think of Tropic Thunder when they're dunking Simple Jack.
I don't think he was going to talk either way.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, there's, I guess, the more humane because they do like waterboarding now.
Yeah.
So it's like not, I mean, Like that's a different kind of torture, I guess.
Yeah.
You know.
You remember being younger and like the people would team up and you're like, dunk him.
Like in the pool?
Yeah.
I hate being dunked.
Oh, me too. Like I hated it. And can you imagine like waterboarding has to be like
Oh yeah.
1,000 times worse than
yeah.
that.
Because that's like they put like a wet towel over your face and then they just slowly drip on it, right?
I think so. And then
Oh, they come in too and they pour a bunch of water
and
too.
I think they invert you too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're on a
So you're
board.
like inverted. So
Oh, anything like you invert me, it's
yeah, forget about it.
yeah.
Unless I'm hitting the half pipe and, you know, with my snowboard, I'm going to invert all day. What's up, man? Inverted man,
Sean White,
waterboarding.
man, let's go. Yeah, Duncan's the worst because you try to take that breath.
Wait, time out. I think we just gained a sponsor. They're talking like this, bro. Skater guy, man. All right, back to the podcast. Troy, I'm sorry to interrupt. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying like with dunking, like
Yeah.
that's horrible because you try to get like it's coming, like your buddies are like dunk 'em,
Yeah.
and you try to take that last breath, but if like you're in the middle of taking that breath and
Yeah.
they shoot you underwater quicker, you know,
Did you remember being a kid when you'd all get in the pool, especially all the guys? Someone would always yell the number one rule: no dunking.
yeah, no dunking,
Because
yeah.
everyone knew the group of
Wait,
friends
no,
you
that
were
was
with.
after the one rule, though.
No pissing in the pool.
No,
Oh.
getting in the pool. Last one in the pool is a fag.
That's torture. Because you don't want to go in that cold lake. Like it's more when you did it in a cold lake.
Yeah,
See, we have it so good in like a first world country that, you know, really the worst torturing we have is either,
Some sort of a
jumping in
game.
cold water or sitting through like traffic.
being called a name,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
worst torture.
Or how much we loosely say like things like, "Oh my God, this is torture."
Yeah. Yeah, as they say, yeah, missing a red light.
Yeah.
You get stuck by like 3 red lights in a row and you're like, oh, this is horrible. This is torture.
And there's the guy next to you has like been in like Vietnam and shit like that, and he's like, "This isn't bad at all."
Yeah, do you imagine doing that at work? Be like, "Oh, this day's taking forever. This is fucking torture." And then there's like a war vet next to you, or or someone that was involved in stuff they shouldn't have been involved in and got tortured.
But then
Yeah.
he's having all these flashbacks of like either being tortured or torturing people, and he's just like, "Yeah, this sucks."
Yeah, and you're just sitting there kicking your chair over and over. Fucking torture, fucking torture.
He triggers PTSD. Yeah. You don't show up to work for
And
the
you
next
don't
2
realize
months.
you're torturing someone.
Yeah, by saying that.
But one of my like first world problem tortures is like when someone shows me a video, like that's already torture enough. I'm just kidding. But when they have this
Fireworks.
Fireworks,
video.
damn, I was just going to say. 4th of July.
that's torture. Or them showing me a music video of music I'm not interested in. But I'll admit I have a bad habit of doing that to
I
others.
won't show you music anymore.
But anyway, like when they show it to on their computer, and they're like showing me a YouTube video and they don't full screen it. Yeah. That's just tortured me. If you're doing it on some sort of monitor, whether it's a TV or whatever, it's like maximize that video, and take the fucking mouse cursor off to the side.
That's torture. Like I just zone in. Whatever you were showing me, my eyes just go like I have eagle eye vision that just zones in on that, and it's just like I'm having Vietnam flashbacks
It's
looking
just,
at that.
yeah. Every time you try to glance away and you look back at it, there's this mouse that gets bigger.
Or they leave it in the bottom where it shows like the description of the video.
Oh yeah,
And it
like
stays
up on
there,
the
like, the whole
corner.
time.
Yeah,
It's like, Jesus, come on.
that might be worse than leaving the little
it's
mouse
freaking
up on
horrible.
there.
You know what's worse
Oh.
than that?
Shit in your pants.
Well, watch it. Yeah.
No, actually, that would be a good way to get out of it.
Sorry, farted and a little came out. I gotta go.
Gotta go. Now they're getting tortured. No, it's when they say.
I just thought like you could reverse that to them. Shit your pants, don't say anything, because they're over your shoulder and you're just smelling like shit. Is that you? No.
But then it reverses back to you. It's like the Uno, like you just did a like draw forward, then they hit it, or reverse, and then they reverse it and be like, "Oh, I got this other video."
They just keep you locked in video after video and you got shit pants.
But what I was getting to is the worst part about that, other than the mouse like hovering over that, is when they keep saying, "Now watch this." When you already checked out like 5 minutes ago, and they're like, "Now watch this."
But you know it's a bad video when someone keeps going, "Now watch this part."
And
It's like, yeah, I'm fucking watching. I wasn't there.
nothing changes.
I know it's when I'm showing people.
watch this.
Now,
You're
when
like,
I'm
okay.
showing people,
Wait.
when I'm showing people videos, I know it's fucking game over. When I go, "Hey, are you watching this?" I'm like, "Oh fuck."
That's
They're
when
not.
that's when I get
Or
the
like
cue and
something
I'm
happened.
like,
You're like, did you see that?
And they're looking against the wall, but then they always do the same thing. Yeah, I saw it.
yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty badass. Yeah.
That reminds me that I learned how, like, when I've never had any coworkers or whatever do it, they show you like pictures of their family or their kids. But I heard the reverse to that. Like, if you don't want them to ever show you again, you take the picture and you look at it for too long.
What the hell? Creeper.
like you're holding you
And don't even say anything.
Yeah.
Locking away the mental photographs. You're just like blinking to lock it in there.
They're like, "Okay, can I get that back now?" Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I'll be needing that later.
Can you send me them? That would even be more awkward.
Do you mind if I take a picture?
Hey,
Like,
can
you
I
get a-
screenshot that quick?
It'd be even more weird if you took their phone and just slightly like tipped it back, took your phone out, and took a picture. Of their
Take a
phone.
picture of it. Yeah.
They'd probably like walk away and be like, "The fuck."
Go on their. They go on your Facebook page a week later. It's like your face on with their family.
Or could you imagine taking their phone and just hitting the screen lock thing and just handing it back to them? Or go torture their phone, get a hammer and smash its balls.
Or Google something that shouldn't be Googled on their phone.
Like torture. Good torture. Good torture. Good torture somewhere.
Wiener torture. All right. I'm going to call a quick break. I'm going to go grab another fridge brick and maybe hit the bathroom real quick.
And I gotta go watch videos. I gotta go show Troy videos.
Gotta go clear my search.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, now that we're back from our break, how about we take a deeper dive into torture, and where do you guys think that torture started?
Well, I think I can just imagine if you're going way back, like humans torturing humans.
Like a time machine, let's go back.
I think it started like, cavemen. I don't know if one happened to like, they stumble on another village or clan of cavemen. And then you got them like arguing over something, or they want information from them. Like,
There's like holding one down type.
yeah, and they're probably just like, and then that's when one like grabs a rock, and you know what he's gonna do with it. They're gonna do it, and then and then. They fucking tortured him.
I could just see that same scene from time to time. Like you have that one in the cavemen, and then do a medieval one.
I don't know if that even sounds like someone being in distress.
Universal sound of torture.
No, a very fair question, and I think it's a safe assumption. Torture was started by men.
Are you
No.
Guys, I got it.
Physical torture?
Oh no,
Yes.
yep. I was just gonna say that. So there's two fantasy tortures out the window on this. That got invented later.
yeah.
Oh no, that's not what I was.
Yeah, me
thinking.
neither.
No, I know. There's physical and mental torture.
I go through that every day. The
Yeah.
mental- No, I'm kidding.
Marriage.
Marriage.
So yeah, physical torture was started by men. I think that's a safe assumption.
Well, that was a byproduct of the marriage.
All right. No,
Torture.
okay. Do you think torture is like, what's that saying? Old as the test of time? Like for real, like cavemen found a way to torture? Do you think it goes back that far? Or are we talking like it had to start in some sort of timepiece, like the medieval times, colonial times? or something of that nature.
Wait, time out. When exactly was the medieval times?
Hope you weren't gonna-
What's was it year like 400? I don't know.
But here's the next question.
1400?
The next question. Spell medieval.
Yeah.
I'd rather be tortured.
What did the beginning evil and end evil look like if medieval was that, you know? If you're looking at the timeline, the
It was during the
chronological
midlife
order.
crisis of the marriage.
Well, maybe there is kind of like a beginning and end evil. We're in the end evil right now, but that's like the
Feels
basis
like
of
it.
torture.
No, because I think TikTok just started, so I think it started a whole new era of
It respawned, yeah.
Could be watching videos.
Reset the clock back, yeah.
Watch this video.
Yeah, and it's people, dancing. And,
But
just taking me over to the inverted board.
now, I wonder what the first form of torture actually was. Like, do you think it was a device, or do you think it was just people holding someone down?
Yeah.
And
I think back then, if it was the caveman times, that there wasn't a whole lot of
now, do you think it was like a rock to the mouth, the head,
something
wiener?
like that, yeah. Yeah.
Well, now, when do you think wiener torture started?
Caveman.
Marriage.
But I feel like cavemen, like, I don't think wiener torture existed with cavemen because their wieners were hanging out all the time. That they was just out.
Oh, yeah, they weren't considered. I bet they weren't considered as sacred. It was as soon as they were hidden, like when that butt flaps were introduced.
It's like,
to
ooh,
it.
what's that?
What's behind the flap? Let's torture it. What's that peeking out? Torture it. Must be something behind there he doesn't want us to see.
Yeah.
I think it needs torture. All right. Besides wiener torture, like
Butt torture. No,
it's a different torture. Yeah. Pick an end. Now, the first device, what do you think it was, like something constructed, or do you think they were like boiling people first or holding them underwater?
Well, I bet you fire. Stuff devices with fire is like holding
Probably,
you
yeah.
over fire or something.
Maybe on the boiling aspect of that, yeah, with the fire.
But even that scale that goes with inventions, like through the test of time, like torture has evolved like that back then. Like, you know, the invention of fire. How long did it take to use a torture? Same with the invention of electricity. How long did that was around until they used it for torture? You know, like you see in movies, like the car batteries hooked to nipples and like your balls or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, torture is probably something that's been, I mean, it's just the negative or the inhumane aspect of life. So that had to have been around forever,
Yeah.
you know.
It's actually torture probably started when secrets started.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was when torture was first thought of, was secrets, to get a secret out?
Or do you think torture was before secrets? That they're like, oh, he's keeping a secret, but they're like, well, what do you mean?
But his secret.
Okay, we got to get it out of him. Like, I don't know any. Like, what is this word?
What
secret?
if his secret was that he tortured someone? Who'd you torture?
But then
nobody.
And then that's where lying started too.
The never-ending
the
circle.
Colosseum.
Yeah.
So yeah, secret to torture to lie to torture to secret. It's a vicious
Maybe
cycle.
that's the fall of Rome.
The casting of the way of the torture, or the correctness, the wokeness of torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, was Rome? This might be a dumb question. As good as I thought I was with history, was medieval times or Rome first?
Or were they the same? I'm done with that now. Like once you're out of school, like, do you remember learning that? Like reading the textbooks, do you actually remember the dates of all that? I can't wait to get
I'm gonna
fact
say
checked on
medieval
all this.
times. I have no idea why. They just say medieval.
It just sounds right.
But
Yeah.
when did pirates exist? Were pirates like during medieval
Caribbean?
times? Yeah.
Yeah, were they just like the tropical version of the medieval times? No, they had to be after, because
They were
guns. They used guns.
Yeah, they were after the Vikings, right?
They had to be.
Oh,
Their
man.
ships were bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
What if they
oh,
could
think
base
about
them-
that? In torture is also based on location.
Sure.
Like torture on a ship is different than torture on land, obviously.
Hey, Troy, can you just put? Yeah, I'm just gonna do one of these.
Oh, I was gonna say there's a trash can over there.
Oh, I missed.
Whoops.
Well,
Slipped.
what's that called with the pirates? They have all their different types of torture. What's that one called where they ring them around the boat, the ship?
Oh, yeah, that's what the hell?
Do you ever
is that
see
called?
that?
Oh,
They'll tie their
thanks for shaking that,
hands.
Troy. You were trying to torture me. Yeah, I know what you're talking
So
about.
they tie like their hands and they run a rope all the way under the boat and then tie it to their feet. Or no, it's not tied to their feet. It's the other guys are pulling them, right?
Yeah.
Or no,
Yeah, it
their
would be
feet
tied,
have to be
yeah.
tied up too because the basis of it is the whole bottom of the boat has what the shells or whatever on there, the muscles
Yeah,
and
muscles,
stuff, or
yeah.
whatever that's all called. And they're dragging them along the boat, just cutting them to shreds.
Really?
That's them underwater.
But there's a name for it and I can't remember it.
I never heard of that one.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
where
they're-
did I see it? Was that in Black Sails? or
Yeah, it's
something?
in the show Black Sails has that, and they do it like 4 times to the guy, and he's just standing there like each time like bloodier and bloodier.
He
when
goes
they pull him
around?
out. Yep.
Up underwater, out of water,
Yeah.
underwater, out of water?
Yeah.
Yep. And the thing is, remember how big those ships are? He's getting dragged the whole ship, like a whole circle. But then they had different tortures too with that. Like, didn't they tie people to the sails and all that too?
I think so. And they probably put them in cages and shit. And-
Oh, I always think of that scene in Hook.
Or they just took their rum away from them.
Sobered them up.
Yeah.
You'll be sober for 2 days.
Do you remember
Punch me in the balls.
in Hook though, when they put that guy in the chest and then throw the scorpions in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my fears growing up. Like if that ever got done to me, but it's like I don't think I'm going to be on a pirate ship anytime soon.
Yeah, don't hang with the pirates.
They were brutal with torture. I wonder.
Well, anybody is.
Yeah,
You look at the medieval them and like you look at, Al Qaeda and all that shit too.
it's probably more brutal now. I think with all you can do, like because they get to learn from history.
Well, now think of all the annoying songs they have now that they can just show you.
Play over loudspeakers
Oh,
and
yeah,
drive
and
you
put it on
crazy.
repeat.
Well, doesn't actually the U.S. kind of does that, don't they?
Yeah.
I think aren't they using like Eminem?
Yeah,
I thought to,
Britney
like,
Spears,
people-
I think,
Yeah, I
Eminem,
think, like-
Metallica. They use Metallica too.
Well, shit, you do any of the top 40?
I was just gonna say, just put a
it.
top 40 radio station on. They have to hear the same song 4 times every hour.
I'm like, get me in a time machine so I can go back to being on a pirate ship.
No crappy music. Yeah,
But I always think of medieval times too, like dragons existed, even though obviously they didn't. But you want them to exist, and you'd use them for torture.
Nah, that's too easy. Like, then just how many different torture things can you do with a dragon?
Just pretty much burn their wiener off.
I'd be like, whoops, we burned his whole body.
Yeah,
Unless it was like
right
a little,
there.
Blood is wiener.
Unless it was like a little dragon.
It's a little baby dragon,
Dragon,
just blowing hot
hot
smoke.
air, yeah. Hot moist air. It's not even fire. Yeah.
Like, that's all you. The guy's like, that's all you got. They're like, okay, to the cage.
Well, I mean, yeah, the medieval times. That's what they were known for. I mean, anybody thinks of medieval times, the first thing that comes to their mind is probably torture.
I think the one of the
You know.
besides all the tools that they would use, I always think of what's that called, where they put their head in their arms in the wood.
Well, I don't know what that's called, but I remember in Pirates Cove, you can get your picture taken.
Yeah.
Put your head through that little hole.
Look at us. We're like mocking our ancestors.
Yeah.
Like there were probably some of our ancestors that
I think it
died
was
in
just
that
to,
thing. And
just to starve you, right? And they just basically starved to death out there and let,
Not only
let the
starved-
animals pick at you.
and humiliated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing though,
Yeah.
wasn't the humiliation?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be in there for like 2 days. I can't sit still for like, this podcast episode. I can't imagine. That's why I got to take breaks. But I can't imagine being trapped in there for one spot.
Yeah.
For
All the elements outside, yeah, and the
people
bugs and
throwing rotten, fruit.
animals,
and
yeah.
No, and I
vegetables
never
in.
thought about with that. I always think about, other people throwing shit at you and you're stuck there not eating. I never think about nighttime. Like you're there during dark.
Yeah.
Or some kid running up behind you and kicking you in the balls.
Yeah. Just full top foot on your nutsack.
Yeah, sees that fruit basket
Now you're
hanging
double
down.
tortured.
Yeah.
Just sees that fruit basket hanging down and bam. That's how field goals are.
You can just hear the kids running up laughing. You know you're done.
Hey, leave me alone.
You can't turn your head around either. You're
just-
fucked.
You just start screaming before it happens to hopefully scare them away.
And then-
Or whatever. Yeah.
Then with that though, like how long do you think it took to get like animals involved too?
What depends, I guess. What or
Would
just
like to
the cold?
participate.
What do you
Like-
the first animal? Do you think it was animals or bugs?
Bugs.
I don't know.
It
Like a
depends-
cockroach?
It
Well,
depends
like
if you
using-
wiped.
Like how much sour butt you had? Yeah.
Well, and actually, that brings up another thing. Like, if you're trapped in there for like 3 days, you're fucking shitting them britches.
I thought you were gonna talk about that meme that goes, "Have you washed your ass today?"
That's where I would reverse it on the
Negative.
people. If I knew I was gonna get, shut my head in that box thing, I would just eat as much random shit as I could and just manure spread people and like behind
spray?
me. Yeah.
Nah, I'd be like a bear going into hibernation, eat all them as much dirt as I could, so I didn't have to poop.
Yeah. I'd say animals probably.
What do you think? Like
'Cause they
rats
used them.
were first? Like we talked about it earlier, but do you think the rats were the first to use?
I think they utilized their like horses and stuff as an example.
Oh, you're saying like
yeah, I think
okay.
they used like
Oh, I know what
they
you're
were,
saying.
Yeah, I
like
think
use
that
them
they
as a
were
tool.
Yeah,
type.
yeah,
a
they were
torture
an
tool.
active part in the torture. Yeah, as opposed
the
to
strength of
yeah. And maybe then they realized when they were shipping people off into caves and the only thing they could get in there were the insects, and if they didn't feed them, they were getting eaten or whatever. Maybe
I just
maybe
always
that,
think
but-
using rats, like
Yeah.
with that old thing where they put like the rats in the metal pail on your stomach. You ever see that?
Oh, yeah, they strap it on.
and they
do it in
start
Game of
heating
Thrones,
it.
yeah.
They start heating the
Oh,
metal
so they're trying
pail.
to eat their way out.
Yeah,
they try
because
to find a way out.
Yeah, they stay away from the heat.
Ew.
All right through your belly.
Ooh.
But then aren't there other tortures too, where they like shut like your lower half in a box and like they have like rats and shit in there and they eat
So,
your
yeah,
legs and all?
Yeah, that's like, well, Method Man said that in one of his raps, didn't they? Where he sew your asshole shut and keep feeding you and feeding you and feeding you.
Oh,
yeah,
what was that one that they would do? They would do that one torture where they covered you whatever, and they would trap you in like shallow water, like a bog or something, and like the bugs and small animals would eat you from the. They would soak you. Oh, that was it. They soaked you in like honey.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they put you in there.
Yeah, it was a bug.
Okay.
Bugs would slowly eat you.
And I think they put you like in this device where your head was like
Head
peeking
was
out
exposed,
of a,
yeah.
that was like
That's
a
an
big sheet
old
of
one
plywood or
too.
something.
That like tribes do stuff. They cover you in whatever, and the ants eat you.
Yeah, that's where they put you, I think, up in that metal cage. Like I say, they keep like your head exposed.
Yeah.
And like, so you can't whatever. But then, yeah, and then they cover the rest of your body with whatever, and they let insects or animals or whatever gnaw at you.
So, like, speaking of the rats and stuff like that, small rodents stuff, at what point did those get introduced to good torture? And I think you know what I'm talking about. If you've seen South Park, I think you're familiar with Lemmy Winks.
Yeah.
Like, at what point did someone say, you know what? I can bring something to the bedroom. Grab that fucking guinea pig or grab your hamster.
But there's also the serious side of things with that. People who torture animals. To me, there's no fucking room for them in this world.
No.
That's the people that should be tortured. The
Yeah, I was just gonna
medieval
say,
way
yeah,
now.
that should be an eye for an eye. Like you hear stories of people like torturing their dogs, their cats, whatever. Like, how?
Yeah.
Well, those people end up becoming serial killers and they torture people and shit, and then they go to prison or whatever. So
Actually, that is something you do hear about, like where it started. You know, in their youth, they were torturing like the neighbor's cat or something like that.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that. Like
Jeffrey Dahmer.
all these animals want, like especially dogs, they just want to be friends.
Yeah.
How could you do that? Like, torture a helpless animal or beat it.
that's where humans are fucked up, because I don't think animals torture other animals.
Well, chimpanzees, I think, are a different story. But that's more fighting. That's not torturing.
Well, no, I think they rip the nuts off each other, don't they?
But that's fighting, not torturing.
But what do they do with the nuts after they rip them off?
Probably eat them.
Probably wear them around their neck.
Oh,
And then they're going into the wild, like these people that study. What was her name? Jane Goodall? What was her name?
It was
That
something
studied
like
the
that. It was
gorilla,
something like that.
the chimpanzees and stuff. Yeah, she probably stumbled on a bunch that had like other chimpanzee testicles.
Necklace, yeah. Nice headbands.
Nut bling.
Could you imagine like they had that stretch headband and there's just two like balls sitting like right here? You know, like the Tupac. You know how he tied his thing, but that's
Bandana,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like nuts right here.
And then the other one, the victim of it probably had its nuts ripped off and a bullfrog shoved up its ass.
You wear them to the right or left that knows which side of the orangutan gang you're on.
The orangutan.
Yeah. Yeah. Nut rippers.
That's what they like. We always think of like the medieval, like England and shit, having all these torture things, but they had to torture people like in the jungle. Like, hey, we're gonna tie this person to a tree, and then the chimpanzees come and rip them apart. Yeah,
Yeah. They'd probably be big for the insects there too, man, because I would assume that they're another level.
That's back to like the different phases or areas of torture. Which I guess what am I trying to think? Region has the worst torture, do you think, in history?
Probably the U.S. now, having to watch TikTok videos. I'm kidding.
History. Anywhere where it's cold.
And that's voluntary torture too.
Oh yeah, that's the worst part about it. That's good. Wait, is that good or bad torture then?
Yeah, it feels good until you spend 4 hours doing it, and you're like, no. Never get that much time back.
You're still on the toilet.
Yeah.
Oh no!
You go to get up and you just fall because your legs are numb.
Yeah. No, but can you imagine way back, like in the medieval times, where it's like you just get accused of something? It's like, oh, hey, boil him.
Like, and you
witches.
didn't get a chance. Yeah, you didn't get a chance to. Yeah, like what you said, witches.
Dispute it or yeah.
Like
You
you
were
were
guilty. Yeah, if you were accused of being a witch, you knew that you were going to get burned at the stake.
Yeah, I would say probably like the tribes or like the outskirts of like civilization were probably the more brutal ways to do it because there was zero. To an extent there may have been some sort of empathy in it,
Right.
By I guess we would call civilized time, but those, the jungles or things like that were probably a little more ruthless, a little more cutthroat.
There weren't rules.
Yeah, correct.
That shit's probably still going on out there, and no one knows. But just imagine, just all that shit just going down, and now I guess they put some rules on it, but that shit's still. And it was a miss.
That was close.
But that shit's still going on, even though they make rules against it, because someone wants to get their information. They want to get those secrets out.
Well, that's a fair question. Do you think it's used more legally or illegally?
Oh, illegally for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's a dumb question.
Illegally.
Yeah, it's like asking if drugs are used more legally or illegal. Well, I guess if you introduce pharmaceutical stuff into
Well, technically, all torture is pretty much illegal. I think when you're using it legally, you're working outside your
outside the realm of the legal aspect or legal scope.
Right.
Yeah.
Good cop, bad cop. Like,
Trying to get that info. Yeah. The bad environment or the bad situation leads to the good, the moral good.
As soon as that bad cop says, pull his wiener out, you're getting whatever information you need.
Or just imagine them in the other room, then watching through the one-way glass. Oh my God, they're gonna wiener torture him now. Yeah, he's fucked. He's gonna spill the beans right here. But then it's in a different language.
They're like, oh shit.
Put his wiener away. But do you think we've mastered, women did a long time ago, but psychological torture? I feel like that's used more now legally.
Yeah. Torture / manipulation.
Yep. That's keep them around, keep them pretty much like solitary confinement or something like that. You're not physically beating them up, doing anything, whatever else that your workarounds. I feel like that's a new age torture.
Mm-hmm.
The
Work
new age
does that a lot,
torture? I was going to say.
Work does that a lot, too.
Yeah. Psychological, Next thing you know, you're working a 10-hour day on a Saturday.
Yeah.
You leave to go home. You leave to go home, and all of a sudden it's the next day you're at work. Oh, shit. How did I get here again?
And then you have flashbacks of them like preaching about like, we believe in work life.
We're a family.
Yeah.
Don't make me part of this dysfunctional family.
The biggest flashback you have, though, is signing that application. Yeah, I'm going to have fun here.
And then all of a sudden the Vietnam flashbacks start going on too while you're 8 hours into your 12-hour shift on a Saturday.
Yeah. Fuck work.
I've just been tortured.
All right, on that note of work, I gotta
go. I gotta take a break. I gotta go to work real quick.
I gotta check some emails. All right, let's take a break. All right, we're back from another break. Troy,
Yes, sir.
what tortures you?
Outside of marriage.
Oh, he said that, Angie. I didn't. No, I'd say my modern day torture is freaking construction, road construction, because the shit never ends. It's just there's always one season. It's construction season.
Do you know, in relation to that, though, besides watching people's videos, what tortures me most is just traffic and just bad drivers. If that's counted as torture, then
What you guys just said right there, when you combine those two things, that's the worst. That's the worst sitting in that traffic. You have traffic, because construction, it's been there.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it started. Everyone knows it's going on. Like, they close lanes, they do whatever, but then those assholes don't merge over or wait till the last second. So what does everyone do? They hit their brakes.
Yeah.
Now we're stuck in traffic because of shitty drivers.
Yeah. Well, you would think too, with technology and everything, that we could find some sort of composite that we could lay down for a road that wouldn't need to be freaking tore up every like 4 to 6 years and gone over and gone over and gone over.
Wasn't a thing around here because of the salt does a lot of damage too?
Yeah. You will make, I don't know. Don't use salt or make something that resistant to freaking salt, man.
Yeah.
Jesus. Like, I don't know. It's just, it seems that they'll shut a stretch of road down or like stretch of blocks or whatever it is, and then by the time they get to the end of it, they have to start back over to the beginning.
boys.
Yeah.
Do you ever hear the saying, like, if Rome wouldn't have been destroyed and we would have kept all their technology, we'd have better roads? Do you know what probably happened is they probably tortured all those good architects and engineers, and they're like asking them for information that they didn't have yet. Like, how do we make these roads? How do we get rid of traffic? They're like, I don't know.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Or they were so good that they didn't give away the secrets, so they were just tortured to death.
They wanted paid more.
Yeah, the ultimate.
You gonna pay me
tight-lip.
for them? No, we're gonna torture you for it.
Good luck with that. I'm married.
I ain't talking. Yeah.
But
that's my consistent modern day torture is just freaking construction. And like you say, with the between the alterations with lanes being shut down and traffic being diverted or whatever, and then like you said, Colt, with the drivers, like that just adds another element that just puts it over the top. Like the construction by itself wasn't enough. Then you add like the assholes and the idiots that have to obey general practices and they can't. It's just,
they're like those idiots that if you're trapped in one of those, we don't know what they're called. We should have looked on the break that you have your hands and head in that block.
Yeah.
That they're those idiots that come in like, ha ha. Those are the bad drivers. Yeah.
But did you see, I think it's in Europe, they have these systems when they're doing like road work that they come in with these, they like elevate a road over a road. You seeing those?
Are you talking about like they do it in a night? They just take it out and put it back in like the old
it's like
swap-roo?
it's
I don't think they shut it down. I don't think they shut like
they
a road
build
down.
like these structures over the road that it's like another road on top of the road, but it's a structure. Mm-hmm. So they're doing all the road work underneath this temporary road.
Yeah.
It's like a bridge that goes over.
Huh. So bridges can end torture.
That's European. See, their culture probably had more torturing in medieval times. And now they have that.
That's because there's no secrets anymore. They got all of them out. They're like, what's the secret to road construction?
Just build another road on top of it.
We'll bash your wiener in if you don't tell us.
No.
Okay, here it is. We need and they probably just say anything that like just to get out of it. So they're and they're not turned into a hammerhead shark that they're like, oh, just put a road over the road. Whoa. And then they just stop. He's like sitting. The guy's probably sitting there with the hammer.
He's all wound up. He's like,
he takes his hood
and they're
off.
like, just stop. They're like, don't smash his wiener.
not yet.
Tell us more about this road on top of a road.
Yeah, what you just do is you put it over the road,
and they're just building it as they go on mentally.
It's a guy genius.
He's just stringing a bunch of lies and shit as he goes on.
That's the guy that developed all the torture devices after that.
Like, well, you built the road, so
yeah.
But then they had to torture people to build the road. how are you guys going to go about building this? When are you going to be done?
Yeah. And if you think of how many people are tortured in traffic, I mean, the numbers are just astronomical.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm just waiting for that black van to pull up next to me and just like rip me out of my car and take me somewhere and torture me. Like, oh, thank God you got me out of traffic.
I don't think we were ever going to move.
You don't even care about your car at that point anymore.
Just take me somewhere and put a bag over my head.
Yeah.
Or I feel like when I'm stuck in traffic bad and there's idiots around, I'll be like, just let me torture them.
Yeah.
That's where someone cuts me off. I'm like, I'd love to torture that motherfucker. I'm thinking of all the weight. Oh no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
Not
kidding.
at all. Not at all.
Kidding.
Now that this podcast is flagged, the FBI is gonna be kicking in the door, torturing us.
I'm looking at the hammer in my tool bag next to me. Just,
What about you guys?
Worst torture?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd call the worst, but I think like a modern day torture that I fall into.
watching the Chiefs in a Super Bowl.
Well, I was actually going to bring up sports. When you're watching your favorite sports team and when they're supposed to be dominating and they're not.
Yeah.
Like football, for example. They're supposed to, you know, be moving the ball against this team or whatever. And that's the day they decide they're not going to move the ball. They're just going to completely shit the bed.
Yeah. And for the previous 2 weeks, they've set like team records.
Yeah. And they're finally playing
whatever.
a game they should be winning. Like college football just fucking wrecks me.
Yeah.
It just, but that's the fun of it. Like, you know, you come back every week and.
Well, how much of that is like just the team playing bad, or you think Vegas having a hand in
I don't
that?
even want to get started.
To be honest, guys, is as much as I would love to like side with you and shit, but I don't consider that torture because at any point you can just turn the TV.
No,
off.
you can't. No, you can't. Not if you're a true fan. That's the torture
you
cycle.
you can get out of the torture. You can
Nope.
get yourself out of the torture. You can't get yourself out of a fucking cage when the crows are pecking your eyes out.
But what if you turn the TV? Okay, your team's losing by 30 or something like that, and you turn the TV off. You're like, "There's no way they're coming back." And then, like you see one of your buddies text you, be like, "Dude, you see the end of that? That shit was crazy." Yeah. And you turn it back, and then the game's already over, and your team ended up coming back like miraculously. And
right,
like that's a different kind of
torture.
torture.
That's where superstitions were born.
Yeah, but that's also where torture starts too.
Yeah.
It's a different side of torture. Is well, what if they do come back? And you're tricked into it. But every time they come back on offense, they find a way to just go 3 and out or whatever. And it's like, oh, fucking it.
Yeah, you have every like woman in the ancient times thinking, well, if I didn't do math in front of them, I probably wouldn't be burned at the stake right now.
Yeah.
That's why some guy was probably wrong how many like beers or how many mugs or horns of beer he had. Yeah, no. It's like, well, honey, you had 12 already. How did you learn how to count?
What is this counting thing you're doing?
Yeah.
What kind of wizardry is this?
3. I had 12. You're a witch. Yeah, you had 3 at dinner, 3 after dinner, and then 6 later in the night.
Then it's like a silent night, and then everyone in the town can hear, wait, did someone say witch?
Why are you such a bitch? Wait, did they say witch? Get her!
That's probably where the word bitch came from.
Yeah. What about you, Colt? What's your modern day torture?
It'd probably be the video thing. I know it's not as extravagant, but or just a random Vietnam flashbacks, I guess.
For no reason.
I mean, Vietnam is no joke.
My pet peeve modern day torture is people joking around about Vietnam.
Yeah. Bastard.
No, I think mine is just when people should just be hurrying, or when I'm people just take their fucking grand ass time now. Their jolly ass time. They just fucking take their jolly ass time.
Here's how to sum it up. They're oblivious to their surroundings.
Yeah. And it always happens when you have somewhere to be.
Exactly.
You could have nowhere to be. Like, hey, you tell your wife, hey, I'm gonna run to the store real quick, or your girlfriend, whoever, hey, I'm gonna run to the store quick. Like with no timeline set, you're just gonna go look for something. You hit every green light. There ain't no traffic. Yeah. Nobody gets in your way.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna try to get everything done in an hour. I'm gonna bam. You get the person driving a Prius 5 under, and then
Yeah, you leave the driveway and it's just downhill from there.
All red lights. You get to the grocery store and they got all the stalkers in there, and then they got the people just like it's their first time in the grocery.
Yeah.
Sorry, today's our training day.
Yeah. What the fuck is that? And then,
Or there's just a bunch of kids fucking around, like
Yeah.
they're in your way and you want to bitch at them, but then if you open your mouth,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, just fucking, I'm just ready to take my wiener out and just let someone get like a hammer from the hardware aisle and just
wait for a
if you
guy.
guys aren't going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, but you're just waiting for a guy to come around the corner with a hood on. All right, wiener torture him now.
Yeah, I just want to make it look like when you were a kid and you had a thing of Play-Doh and you just smash it real quick and it just like took form. Yeah, that's like, just get me there.
All right, with that. All right. But
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I fucking feel, guys.
Nutty aired it all out there, all his dirty laundry.
Yeah, so if you see me at the grocery store, you better be fucking.
Get ready to grab something heavy and smash.
I'm
him
pulling
some-
you into the next aisle, and I'm
got Play-Doh in his pocket.
Or your fucking wiener's going right next to the peanut butter and the jelly. I mean, turning it into jelly, not. No, I'm not. Yeah, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna put it in the jelly.
It's like the ultimate reverse. It actually feels kind of good in the jelly.
Oh, what is this?
Now I think we went up the charts as the gayest podcast.
No, here's one of the best jokes I've ever heard. Do you know the difference between jelly and jam?
Yeah.
No.
I can't jelly my dick up your ass.
Sounds like torture.
All right, back to torture.
Oh, yeah. With torture, I think there's a big common factor or denominator with modern day torture. Technology.
Oh,
Like-
it coincides with torture and technology.
But we all get tortured in a way. Slow internet. Your internet goes out. That fucking torture.
Oh, yeah, imagine.
can't live
'cause
like
that's
this.
slow torture.
Yeah.
Yeah, waiting for your webpage to reload.
Getting eaten inside out by insects.
Or it starts to load and then it stops and then it sporadically loads portions of the page and
Or you're trying to do something quick on your computer.
yeah.
Hey, you want to update? And then you don't have a choice. All right, we're going to do this update. Takes forever. And it's there's screen after screen.
Estimated time, 3 days.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What are we living in the medieval times?
Yeah.
This should be faster.
I have rats boiled on my stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with your phone. Being
All of a
on
sudden
your
you
phone.
wake and some witch.
What was that? What do you want?
Yeah, your phone, internet, your computer, yeah, all that stuff. Just we've become so
It's
accustomed
spoiled.
to everything being so instant.
Yep.
You know, yeah, like you say, it's kind of a self-imposed torture, just not having a patience.
We're so used to our phones being so quick.
yeah,
Remember 3G?
barely.
Yeah, but that wasn't instant.
Yeah,
Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah.
Look at how far we've come.
sure.
What's this 3G you speak of?
Well,
Who's
you
this
weren't
3G?
watching. Yeah, you weren't watching random videos of people fireworks and shit when we had those phones.
Or
so-
torture videos.
I think that was a better time. Well, that's when they had rotten.com and you can just see what torture led to.
Yeah.
I think every boy growing up has watched some weird fucked up video on the internet of someone being tortured or something. Unless I'm wrong, but I think that a lot of them have, and it's lives deep
Curiosity.
inside there. Yeah.
Well, that's probably how torture started. Curiosity.
Everybody being bored, sitting around, wondering how could we kill some time.
Yeah.
Kill somebody slowly.
Jimmy pissed us off.
Yeah. Hey, what was it that you said earlier?
Yeah.
I think he has a secret.
He's like, "What's the secret? We're gonna find out."
Yeah.
Just to turn the screws on him.
Literally. Put his head in a vice like Joe Pesci and
Splat like a watermelon.
yeah, just taking the eyes out, just popping out like Mr. Potato Head. And
Yeah. Yeah. Modern day technology is our
it's the
modern
new
day
torture.
technology
Yeah.
is our torture device. Yeah.
Psychological torture.
Yes. Yep.
Technology
Self-imposed
and wives.
psychological.
I mean, just technology.
But there's like, let's say on a smartphone or whatever, so much torture exists on that thing that we don't know. You can watch torture on it. You can look up, whatever torture. You can get fantasy torture from it. It can torture you. Holy fuck.
Now you have like AI and shit like doing something. If I Googled right now on my phone, like how many horses would it take to tear a person apart, like limb by limb?
It would recommend how many you should use.
What breed of horse?
Like it depends what knot you tie.
Yeah. Well, that's probably like you're going to want to buy this rope.
Yep, give you the optimal conditions for like everything that you need for that to be successful.
Yeah.
And some fucking whack job probably like, okay, I'm going to need a cucumber, a horse. And
I mean, when you look at that, it's kind of taking the fun out of the trial and error, if you will.
Maybe that's good
The
for
R&D,
some things.
taking that research and development out of some of this stuff,
And that's where the term fuck to death and stuff probably came from.
Yeah.
A lot of research and development with that one.
Yeah. Technology.
There has to be some logs somewhere of torture techniques.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And those logs still have to get... Someone holds on to those, like government type people.
Oh, it's probably like, like they're during court, like jury and shit like that, where they bring in the person that's on like the special
Stenographer?
keyboard.
Yeah, that's the name.
It says like they bring up that person that records the whole thing.
Yeah.
The stenographer. And they probably have someone in there when they're torturing someone. They're probably just like writing notes like, okay, 7 minutes and 37 seconds in, he spoke, or, he lasted 6 days, whatever, 4 hours, 28 minutes.
But as soon as they always start the wiener torture, they talk.
Yeah, they're like, okay. And you can just see them, like they have a diagram of the body and they're just circling around the wiener. They're like,
That's like, they usually have, what is it, like in when you're watching fights and stuff like that, where like the most damage is, like it's green and it works red, and like that area is just bright red. Like
Before they even start.
Tomato red. It just,
Before they start.
but it just has the number 1 strike right there.
it's like when they have the people like hooked to the polygraph, where they start with like the easy questions like, hey, is your name John Smith? And then they answer like, okay, he's lying, he's not John, and like, or you say no and you're telling the truth, whatever that shit is, and then they go to the questions that they're there for. But do you think they begin the same way with torture? They're like, tell us your middle name, and they start poking you in the arm or something, and you tell them what your actual middle name is. Like, okay, you pass that one.
Guy's not lying.
But you tell us what.
Who were you named after for your middle name? Like, wait, what? He's a liar.
It's
Get
a
him.
secret. He's got secrets.
Get his Jimmy.
Well, if you think of it, and this kind of relates to something, is Caitlin Clark did not realize how she revolutionized the WNBA, because before that, someone could put a gun to your head and say, name a WNBA player.
She just saved a human race from torture.
Yeah, could you name one before that?
Yeah, just one.
What?
Candace Parker.
But that's like the same era, isn't it?
No, she's been from around.
You
for a while.
ruined the whole point of this.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
He's torturing
no,
us.
I don't.
Yeah,
He's
he just
torturing
reversed us. Yeah.
Psychological torture. He made up a name.
Fine. Fine. Use the same analogy before Candace
I
Parker.
don't have anybody else though.
Yeah.
I don't have anybody else. I don't even know how good she was. So
It doesn't
Or
matter.
how
You
long
just
she played
named a
it.
W. But you could revert. How do I know? You could be lying because I don't know that person.
see?
I don't know.
See?
her.
That's like, I don't know why I just thought of it. I just read a meme the other day that was, if you have like a blank period on your resume, like that where you didn't work, just say you were a regional sales manager for Radio Shack. They can't check with
Can't go
anyone.
back and check it anymore. Yeah.
That's a genius.
But
I know that was off topic.
which location and the person interviewing you was actually
Yeah.
worked at that location.
But imagine they call your bluff by bluffing. Like, yeah, I was there too.
And no, it's 3 people interviewing you, and the guy just sits back interviewing you. Hypothetically, that's a guy, and they look to the left, to the right, and they're like, get his wiener out. And then they start drilling you with the questions. Okay, smart ass. They got you spread across the table. Your wiener's
Your
getting pulled
conference
out.
table, yeah, the big meeting table.
Each one got you roped down, holding your wrist and your ankles.
And he's got that nice ball peen hammer that's just a brass ball peen hammer that's all shined up. And
And just sitting there with the oily rag, just cleaning it.
And then you're ready to spill your guts, and that's when HR comes in like, guys, not again.
Oh, is this another? No. Then they're just like, was this another Radio Shack guy that applied here?
No, you get the job, and they're like, oh yeah, this is your Q mates, and he goes over like 3 to 4 guys.
They worked at Radio
worked
Shack
there.
too.
You probably know them.
Yeah, you guys all work together at Radio Shack.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's enough for today.
Yeah, we probably tortured our listeners enough with that
Everybody's
one.
tortured enough listening to this. Yeah.
So again, thanks everyone for listening, and till next time.
Cheers.
Right on.